Okay, here we go. This is the part, well, that's the part where I talk about myself. And to be totally honest with you, I have avoided this for a super long time. And it's not because I don't have anything to say. As a matter of fact, I have so much to say about so many things. But the reason I've waited is because I didn't want to be another voice in the sea of look at me energy. I didn't want to sell my story as a brand or to perform my healing like an art piece. I didn't share because I wasn't ready. It all hadn't landed yet for me. And I've always known that I can't teach what I haven't embodied or lived myself. So this isn't a pitch, it's a pulse. It's not a highlight reel. It's sort of a hologram, a full spectrum remembrance of who I am and how I finally stopped orbiting my own truth and came home. I have spent most of my life searching. I have been searching for language, for belonging, for a click inside of me that said, "You are not lost anymore. You've been found." I was one of those highly sensitive, observant kids who saw behind the curtain at a very young age. I was labeled gifted, and I was put into a bunch of different classrooms when I was really young because I learned differently. And early on, the message that I got is, "You don't belong here." And it really stuck, and it hadn't stopped until recently. I had this ability to read people, to feel truth beneath what someone was saying, to be able to sense like the architecture of their emotional experience before they even knew that that was actually a thing. And I didn't know what to call it. And so I did what many of us do, and I tried on different roles. So I've been a teacher, a mother, a therapist, a helper, a healer, and at the base of it all, a human. Each one of these roles has given me something. Each one also stripped something away. And each one brought me closer to the center of who I actually am. For the past 13 years, I have sat with humanity in my therapy office in moments of rawness and grief that I was so honored to witness, to sit in silence with someone feeling shame. And these sacred pauses where someone realizes that they're not broken, they're just remembering, are what I had always called just the magical moments of what I got to do. And in sitting at the feet of humanity and as a student, I would say, what I've learned is this. Healing isn't something that just happens in our minds. It happens in our nervous system. It happens in our energy fields. It happens the moment that someone feels safe to feel again. And that safety that they feel, it comes from presence and not performance. Most of us are walking around with inherited patterns from generations who couldn't process what they were carrying. We learned to override, to survive. And in doing so, we have buried the divine spark underneath layers and layers of distortion. That's why when I began creating audio journeys, I didn't start with manifestation. I started with emotion and deprogramming and an introduction to awareness and the self. With grief, with stuck energy that's been waiting for centuries to move again. Because we're not able to rise into wholeness if we are building on top of fragmentation. We have to meet it at the roots with breath and with reverence and with truth. And I'm going to be super honest right now. I have been disillusioned with a lot of what I've seen in the spiritual world. Not because I don't believe in guides or dimensions or portals or higher beings or all the things. I absolutely do. I speak light language to my cats, and I have full-on conversations with trees like a weirdo. But I do it because it's something that's real to me, not because it looks good on Instagram. And somewhere along the way, the message of embodiment, I noticed, started getting overshadowed by the performance of spirituality. And I got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore like this. So I chose something different. Realness, no filters, unedited reels, truth over traction, energy over algorithms. Because I want people to remember what it feels like to slow down and feel something real. For most of my life, I couldn't name what it is that I do. I just knew that when people entered my field, something shifted. They dropped out of their heads, their soul started speaking again, and their truth began to flicker back online. Eventually, someone told me that I was a quantum healer, and it resonated. I was like, oh yes, that sounds like something that feels like something that I'm doing. But it wasn't like an ego boost. It was more of a quiet, like, oh yeah, recognition. So I'm able to create space where the mind can go offline and get quiet, and where the soul blueprint becomes available. I'm able to read energetic patterns. I can see systems like relational, generational, multidimensional, and I have this weird ability to distill them down into their simplest and most liberating form. And it's not because somebody taught me how to do it. It's because this is how I came in. And I do have to give a shout out right now to my inner child, because she is absolutely a co-creator in all of this. She is the one who taught me that sarcasm, which is a big part of my language, that sarcasm can be sacred, that healing can, and most definitely can and does, include late night dance parties, crying in my bedroom, which I call Club Garvin. It's okay to laugh when you're awakening and going through like shitty stuff of life. For so long, I left her behind in my quest to become worthy, in my quest to be seen as legitimate, and as a way to hide and cover up this pain that I felt of just being different and weird and strange and not fitting in. But she never stopped waiting for me to remember. And what she reminded me of is that I came here to play. Like I did. I came here to have fun, to sing stupid songs into the wind and to talk to the ocean, to see life like a big game and a strange art project that we're all doing, to heal and to laugh, like to get sarcastic with source when it all gets too dramatic. Because we take ourselves way too seriously, you guys. Like we need to chill out on that. But she's the one who made this landing for me not just super meaningful, but super fun. And I want her here, front and center, as a reminder that not all truths are dressed up in white robes and speak in soft, reverent tones. Some of them are irreverent and sarcastic and inappropriate sometimes, but it's funny. In October of last year, so 2024, I turned the big 50. It's wild, I know. I don't get it. I think of 50-year-olds as like old grandmas, and I'm not one of those yet, thank goodness, but I am older. And this is when it really happened for me. I really actually felt my soul land in my body. I actually told my friends, like, I feel like my soul has finally arrived in my body. Like it wasn't a metaphor and it wasn't a concept. It was actually like a felt sense that I had. And it almost felt like an exhale that I'd been holding on to. It wasn't about, though, arriving at some sort of destination. It was more about ending the search, because for the first time, I wasn't trying to become anything. I was just like being. I didn't need to explain my gifts. I didn't need to prove my worth. I didn't need to push or shove or assert myself into spaces. I could finally just say to myself, like, this is me, finally. And that was enough. And before that moment arrived, there was a lot of silence. There was like this dead air in my life. It was like a stretch of stillness. I didn't expect it. Where the voice that I'd spent years developing got really quiet, and I didn't know how to express myself because all the masks and all of the pretending and all of the everything that I had to do to show myself to the world just didn't fit. And at first I thought like, ooh, I'm losing my mind. Something's wrong. But now I'm seeing it clearly. That was a really important part of my process, which was integration. And there was a wisdom in that pause. It was very uncomfortable wisdom because it was the space between identities, and I didn't feel like I really knew who I was. Even though I knew a lot of stuff was showing up, I just didn't know how to talk about it or even understand it. And in the integration process is where our soul actually rethreads itself back together. The silence turned out not to be an absence of meaning, but for me was a return of alignment. And beneath all of it, there's always been the earth. She is my deepest teacher and my most ancient mirror. Gaia, as a being, is not a metaphor for me. She is actually a living intelligence in my world. She has a frequency that I co-create with and a presence that I attune to every day because I'm always forgetting who I am and where I am and what I'm actually doing here. So when I speak, I'm also speaking for her. And when I land, I'm landing with her because I am made of her elements, as we all are. And when we speak, we are actually speaking for her. This new grid that came online, it's not just energetic, it's a planetary one and it's embodied. And I'm here to help bring it all into form as part of my role in the new earth. Not with noise, not with look at me, I'm so awesome, subscribe and like because I've got this cool personality and you need to follow me, but with coherence and with truth. So why am I doing this now? I don't really know. Actually, I do. Because there's a timeline split that's happening. Happening. It's undeniable. There's a collapse that's happening and an emergence that's happening. And the space between people aligned with either of those timelines is getting wider and wider. And this is the moment, and I feel it so strongly, where voices like mine and like yours, if any of this is resonating with you, it's time for us to let ourselves be seen and heard and known. And it's not about leading with your ego. It's not, for me, it's not about my ego. This isn't even about me at all. But I just want to speak with presence. And I'm not here to gather followers. I'm here to anchor a field. So it doesn't really matter who joins me. I'm doing this as part of my service to humanity and to the earth. This field, the one that I'm trying to anchor, here's what it's saying. You can be wise and you can be weird. You can be healed and also in process. And you can be whole and also irreverent and laugh at the ridiculousness of everything. Because it's freaking ridiculous out there, you guys. Like ridiculous. And it's super funny sometimes. So this isn't a performance, and it's not a brand story, and it's not a flex. I'm not trying to do that. There's no part of me that wants that. It is a mirror though, and this is something that I do see as one of my gifts, is to be a mirror, to show you something that maybe you don't see in yourself. So if something in what I'm saying or what you've been listening to has woken up something in you, whether it's your voice, your truth, your inner child that's like tapping you on the shoulder, being like, hello, where are you? Then good. Because we are not here to fit in, guys. We're here to remember who we really are. And then we're here to help others do the same. So if you're still with me, I'd like to invite you into a moment. Place one hand over your heart and one over your belly and take a breath. Feel where your soul is inside of you. and just say out loud or in your mind, I'm here now and I get to be myself. Let it land, let it ripple, let this be your moment too. So this is me, finally, not perfect, but present. And I'm definitely not finished, but I'm definitely real. I'm a real person, guys. Real stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here, for being you. And I welcome you home to yourself as well. I love ya.